Have you ever heard of the field of linguistics? And if you have, do you know what linguistics actually studies? Linguistics is a scientific study of human language. It examines the structure, functions, history, and evaluation of language, and explores how language is used, processed, and shaped by society and culture. Linguists focus not on a single specific language, but on uncovering the universal rules and structures behind language itself. Because of this, linguistics is closely connected to fields such as anthropology, psychology, and neuroscience. Throughout the semester, we took the course Introduction to English Linguistics, where we learned a wide range of foundational concepts in linguistics. And as we shared what we found interesting, we realized that each of us was drawn to different topics. So today, each of us will introduce the part of the course that we found the most interesting. The first topic we selected is animal and human languages. Yeonju, could you explain this part for us?
Sure. Hello, I'm Yeonjuma. Now I'd like to talk about differences between animals' communications and human language. Let me start with a simple question. Have you ever felt that a dog's barking actually has meaning? Sometimes it sounds like I'm hungry or play with me. If so, we might wonder, are these sounds meaningful in the same way human languages, or are they just simple signals? To answer this, let's look at the 5 unique characters of human language, features that clearly distinguish it from animal communication. First, one of the features of human language is displacement. Humans can talk about things that are not here and not happening right now, but most animals can only communicate about the present moment. For example, when a cat meows, it shows how it feels like now. It cannot say, "Do you remember the pigeon from yesterday?" Second, human language has arbitrariness. There is no natural reason why the sound dog means a dog. Other languages use very different sounds like cat or hunt. This shows that the sound and the meaning are not naturally connected. Third, human language has cultural transmission. We are not born knowing a language, we learn it from the people around us. A baby born to Korean parents but raised in the United States will grow up speaking English. Animals' communications, however, it is mostly instinctive. Cats around the world meow in the same way no matter where they live. Fourth, humans have a productivity, the ability to create an unlimited sentence. When new ideas or new situations come up, we can make a new sentence right away. Animal signals are usually fixed. For example, a bee's dance can show vertical direction, but it cannot show horizontal direction. Finally, human language has duality. We use small sounds that have no meaning by themselves like n or e. But when we combine them, they create completely different words such as ni, in, or bin. Animal signals do not work this way. They act as single, complete unit. So then, can animals learn human language? Researchers tried teaching chimpanzees sign language, and some learned these several signs, but their use of signs was mostly reward-based, and they did not create new sentences or use grammar on their own. So researchers concluded that this is not the same as human language. In short, animals do communicate, but only human language has all 5 features we discussed. The next part goes Narim. Narim, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Then I'll go with the part of phonetics and English change. When you were very young, did you ever find it difficult to learn English for the first time? Have you ever wondered why knee is pronounced knee, but not knee? Or why bow and cow are spelled similarly but pronounced so differently? I remember getting so many vocabulary questions wrong because of this when I first learned English. As you know, English spelling isn't very helpful when it comes to pronunciation. So, to pronounce a word correctly, it's often more important to look at phonetic symbols than the spelling itself. This is exactly why phonetics is such an important field. Phonetics is a general study of the characteristics of speech sounds. Do you remember that Korean high school curriculum includes a subject called 언어외체? Just like we study Korean phonetics in that course, phonetics is also a basic and essential part of English linguistics. If you took 언어외체, this chart probably looks very familiar to you. However, because English and Korean each have unique sets of sounds, their classification system differs slightly. One well-known example is the it sound, as in teeth, which exists in English but not in Korean. Compared to consonants, vowels in English are categorized in a way more similar to Korean, based on tongue height, tongue position, and lip rounding. This is because vowel sounds tend to be less dramatically different between the two languages. By studying English phonetic symbols and articulation in this part of the course, you'll gain the ability to read even unfamiliar or different English words instantly, as long as their phonetic transcription is provided. Now, I would like to briefly talk about the history and changes of English language. Language is constantly changing over time, and English is no exception. For example, do you know how early Korean used to sound? Its pronunciation and writing system were so different from modern Korean that it can feel almost unrelated. Some letters no longer exist today, and it even had tones similar to Chinese. Early English was also completely different from the English we know now, and it went through many changes before becoming the form we use today. Among these many changes, I focused particularly on semantic changes. Semantic change includes broadening of meaning, narrowing of meaning, and even the disappearance of words and meanings. An example of broadening of meaning is holiday, which originally referred only to religious festivals, but eventually broadened to mean any holiday or day off. On the other hand, narrowing of meaning can be seen in our word wife. It once referred to all women, but today it means only a married woman. There's also words that disappeared due to cultural changes. For instance, people no longer carry swords, so the word foin, which meant the thrust of a sword, has fallen out of use. Instead, new vocabulary emerged to reflect new culture practices. In this way, all languages, including English, are not static but dynamic. The language we use today may become as unfamiliar to people hundreds of years from now as early English or early Korean is to us. By studying this part of the course, we gained a deeper understanding of the ever-changing nature of English. And Hyoyoung will go through the final part, right?
Thanks for the clear explanation about English phonetics and history, Narim. Now let's talk about word formation. When new words, neologisms are created, they usually follow certain rules. There are 7 main ways: borrowing, compounding, blending, clipping,
conversion, coinage, and derivation. Let's look at a few of them. The first method of creating neologisms is through borrowing. When a language takes words from another language, it is referred to as borrowing. An example is the word tsunami, which was borrowed from the Japanese language. Another method of borrowing is called loan translation, which means translating a word into English. For example, the German word kindergarten is loan translated to English as kindergarten. Next is compounding. Compounding is made of two words that represent a combination of meanings. An example is the word jackpot. The word jackpot comes from two separate words, jack and pot. In gambling, a pot refers to a container that contains the money to be won, and jack refers to a card marked with J. Therefore, together these words mean a large prize. Then there's derivation. A good example is the word misconception. If someone didn't know what the word concept means, he or she could still guess what the word misconception means because of the prefix mis, which signifies something negative, and the suffix ion, which indicates that it is a noun. The word misconception was formed by combining a stem with affixes. This is the most common way that new words are created. Understanding these patterns of word formation can really help you study English vocabulary more effectively. Now, let's learn about social variation. According to social linguistics, people use different kinds of language depending on their socioeconomic status, race, age, occupation, and level of education. As an example, consider the song 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. In this song, you can hear a lot of features of African American English. In the chorus of the song, for example, the word yo appears in the line, "Players put yo pinky rings up to the moon." This is an example of dropping the R at the end and deleting certain consonant cluster at the end of the words. You will also hear Bruno Mars use I'ma instead of I'm gonna, and y'all instead of you all. These are examples of features of AAE. Although Bruno Mars is not an African American, most of the music he produces is influenced by his Hawaiian culture, which has a high level of cultural diversity. And his primary music genre is R&B, rhythm and blues, and funk. Thus, the way he speaks and the way he uses AAE is largely a product of his music style and the cultural context in which he grew up. However, he does not use the same expressions in formal situations, such as during award shows, and this is an example of style shifting.
I'm so honored to have a small part in your giant musical legacy, and I really truly believe that God gave us this song to sing together, so thank you so much.
The example of Bruno Mars shows that a speaker's social identity and speech style influence their linguistic choices. Therefore, when you hear someone speak, you can often make a good guess as to which social group they belong to by how they use language. These linguistic signs are called social markers. Social dialects can be found in a variety of different areas, from TV shows, movies, and music to everyday life.
So, learning about the differences between the many different types of social dialects within the English language is also the first step to learning about culture.
So then, what does linguistics mean to us in our everyday lives? Linguistics help us gain a broader understanding of the society we live in. For example, someone who isn't familiar with linguistics might assume that the standard language is superior and the people who speak in dialects are using an inferior form of language. But in fact, there is no such thing as superior or inferior language. All languages are equally valuable, and each of us may even using our own unique form of language without realizing it. Every language is special and every language is equal. And this is one of the most important messages that linguistics teaches us.